I usually don't do like the in-depth breakdowns of the chapter, but I thought this time I'd do it because of how popular this chapter was, with all the people telling you not to read the spoilers and all of that, that I do a breakdown of it. And if you guys want me to continue doing these, then let me know by leaving a like on the video below. But let's get into it. So the chapter, it started out with the title being Warrior of Liberation, where the cover page is Niji and Yonji. They're being experimented on. We see Oven and the other members of the Big Mom Pirates there as well. And something I want to mention is that during this whole cover page or cover story, we haven't seen Katakuri at all. We know that he just lost to Luffy. He's not in Wano, so you would assume he's, Luffy being healed, that he's back at Whole Cake Island protecting the territory, but we haven't seen anything from him, so I want to know what's going on with Katakuri. So picking up where we left off in the last chapter, Luffy, he died. He was killed by Kaido in chapter 1043, and he's come back to life, and the reason why we know this is because the words Badum are appearing on the screen, insinuating that Luffy's heart's beating, where even he's shocked about what's going on. He claims that even though he's lost, he's having a good time and starts laughing. And I just want to mention that Luffy, this is his third time or fourth time, one of the two, coming back to fight Kaido. He's laughing about this, and this reminds me of the scene when Luffy, I believe it's in chapter 1001, no, in 1007 or something along the lines. He talks about how he's been to hell and back, and this is not uncharted territory for him. So that's just what this scene reminds me of, and Luffy's coming back to fight Kaido for, again, for what, the fourth time. There's also Yamato, Zunisha, Momonosuke, and they talk amongst themselves, where now it's official that Luffy is Joy Boy. We also see Sanji for the first time since, I believe, chapter 1034, after he defeated Queen. And Sanji's one of my favorite characters, not just him, but like Zoro and other Straw Hats that we don't see much of. I want to see what they're going to do, and for him and Zoro to be the right and the left hand wings of the Pirate King, I want more than just crowd control for them. I'm not necessarily saying come and defeat Kaido, because that's Luffy's job, but I just expect a little bit more from them. There's also Kid, Law, Hirogoro, Marco. They all notice that Luffy's back alive, and Tama and Nami, they're crying tears of joy. This part of the chapter is probably the most important. We cut to Mary Joa and the Gorosei. They're talking about how they had to sacrifice one of their CP0 agents for the greater good, and that they're questioning whether they have their priorities straight. Even in this era, they say that the Gomu Gomu no Mi has been avoiding them for 800 years. And this is basically saying that for 800 years, the Gomu Gomu no Mi has been escaping them, that Joy Boy probably had it, where we can question, is this the crime that Zunisha committed? We know that Zunisha was criminally charged or destined to walk for all this time because maybe he allowed Joy Boy's devil fruit to escape. We know that it's very important, this devil fruit, and that that the government, they were talking about a special fruit a couple chapters ago, which this is the fruit that they're talking about. And on a side note, we know that it's possible for fruits to be stolen or reincarnated, coming back to life. We've seen it with Blackbeard and how he took Whitebeard's fruit, and that the Mera no Mi came back in cycle. Also the Berry no Mi, that has showcased have been throughout time. So it is possible for devil fruits to reincarnate and for them to be stolen in some form. But the devil fruit that the Gorosei were talking about was Luffy's, because we find out that instead of it being Paramecia, the Gomu Gomu no Mi, it's actually a mythical zone. It's the devil fruit, the human model Nika. And something that I want to mention, this reminds me of Punk Hazard, the scene when Luffy first met Momonosuke, and Momo, he's asking, well, how do I fly, how do I use my powers, or how do I transform back, something along those lines. And then Luffy is like, I don't know, I'm not a zone. Well, Luffy, you lied, because you actually are a zone. I have to say, this might have just been me, but I was ignorant to how mythical zones work. They're basically the upgraded versions of a regular devil fruit. Let's take Marco's devil fruit for example. He has the Tori Tori no Mi model phoenix, which means bird fruit model phoenix. And there's also other forms of the Tori and Tori no Mi. There's the falcon used by Pell, and the albatross used by, I believe, Morgans. So they all have the bird fruit. However, Marco's is a mythical fruit because of how different it is. It gives him special abilities, reminds you of like a phoenix IRL, how they burn from the ashes and come back to life, I believe. And so Marco's gives healing factor, stamina, special flame properties, etc. So when I was reading the chapter and I saw the Hito no Mi, I was like, well, that's Chopper fruit, so this doesn't correlate. But that's because Chopper has the base version, which allows him to turn into a human, and Luffy, he has the upgraded version, model Nika. And I'm gonna read it word from word so I'm not mistranslating anything. Its user's body gains the property of rubber. In combat, they're supposedly only limited by their imagination, putting smiles on faces far and wide. They are the embodiment of the warrior of liberation, sun god Nika. Awakening exponentially strengthens their rubbery body and they have more freedom. It is allegedly the most ridiculous power in the world. Now, I'm not going to get in depth about what this fruit is just yet. I'm gonna have a separate video to that, so stay tuned. That's why you should subscribe to the channel. I got you guys. But there's something that it didn't sit right with me. I didn't know if I was confused or not. There's two things. One, the way they use the term ridiculous. Are they saying that this power, it's so bizarre that it's ridiculous, or is that once Luffy masters it and awakens it, and once he lets his creativity go wild where there's no limit to his imagination, are they saying it's ridiculous how powerful it is? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below which version of that translation it is. But after all of this, I don't understand why now the government is going after Luffy. I've made bounty videos in the past talking about Nico Robin and how hers is really low with her abilities. But after everything that Luffy's done, Marineford, what else? Declaring war on the world government and its lobby, input down, going from the 3 Navy facilities, right? There's also him screaming the Gomu Gomu no during his attacks in Marineford, and how in Dressrosa there are people in the Coliseum that know of Luffy's devil fruit. So after all this time, one, y'all didn't know that Luffy had the Gomu Gomu no Mi, or now we know the Hito no Mi model Nika, or like Luffy wasn't a top priority for you guys after this. I don't really understand why now he's a top priority, but maybe it's because of how strong he's gotten. They weren't expecting it, they underestimated him. I don't know. This part of the chapter is not that people didn't like it and that it wasn't necessary, but because of what's going on with Luffy, I don't want to say we didn't care about what's going on, but we don't care. But we got to talk about it. Orochi and Hiyori, they are talking where Orochi is begging for his life and that he was being manipulated by Kaido, so let him out. Where Hiyori has a great character moment. She talks about keeping promises and words don't mean much because her father gave his word by dancing around and doing everything to save his people, just to be betrayed by Orochi and killed by Kaido. And then Hiyori, she talks about how she's the daughter of Kazuki Oden and that she's proud to carry the name even at the low points in her life, and that you shouldn't try to compare her to her father because she is not, Orochi of course is not fit to be Shogun, just like comparing him to Oden, right? Oden was that dude. And then Kandra, at this part of the chapter I was like, man, is Kandra really come back like for a 15 million time? But I guess this is dying hurrah, or his last hurrah, and he goes to touch Orochi and he burns him. I think this was a great moment for Hiyori. It was needed. she's been missing a lot during this arc, and she's the lead woman of this arc, so they tend to do something important. So I'm glad that this happened. I was expecting it to be Momonosuke to slay him with Odin's other sword. I'm not Hakibiri, but it is what it is. Momo has his hands full. We cut back to Luffy, and he says this is his peak, Gear 5th. Now, something I want to mention is, time and time again, I said he needs something stronger. Dofi was Bound Man. Katakuri was Snake Man. A Yonko is built different, right? We need more. And this was it. Gear 5th is coming. I'm not going to showcase it yet, right? That happened a little bit later. But we got to mention how in anime, characters, especially the main characters, they get power-ups randomly, which we don't have a problem with. It's just how they're narratively written. So, pardon my French, but as long as it's not written like an ass pull, then we're cool with it. And so, like I said earlier, Luffy died, and then all of a sudden he came back to life, and he unlocked Gear 5th. I didn't necessarily like. I need more explaining than just him coming back to life, and I hope they go in depth about it in the future. This reminds me a lot of Bleach with Ichigo and his Vasto Lorde form. I love Bleach. This is my top 10 favorite animes of all time. But when Ichigo was going against Ukiura, once Ukiura powered up, Ichigo stood no chance. He was killed, and then all of a sudden Orihime is like he needs him, and then Ichigo, he came back to life to protect her, and then he turned into his Vasto Lorde form, and you're like, man. Then he beat up on Ukiura like it was nothing. So to me, that seemed like an ass pull just to bring Ichigo back to life without great explanation. So an anime that I think it's overrated, but I'm gonna give credit on credit due is Hunter x Hunter. That scene when Gon created that Nen pack to obtain his adult form, where he's his strongest form possible. He beat up on Pito. However, the repercussions were that he was reduced to a feeble and sickly person, and he was in the hospital. So I think they did a phenomenal job. Narratively, it made sense how Gon got that power up. So I need something like that for Luffy to happen so I can understand. Don't get me wrong, the form is cool. However, I need it to be explained a little bit better. The final part of the chapter, Luffy, he comes down with Kankura Haki, and Kaido, he's shocked. He's like, whoa, this ninja, he's back again. And Luffy, he grabs Kaido with a big hand and he slings him around. This reminds me of Luffy. The way he's tossing him around is like what the Hulk did to Loki in the Avengers. It's pretty funny. Luffy, he has big muscles like Popeye, and he's laughing. It's really goofy. He picks him up. He also picks up the ground, and then when Kaido unleashes a blast breath at him, he bounces back almost as if the ground, it turned into rubber and bounced back. A lot of people have been saying that this is either the way that it was described, that as long as Luffy embadges it, then it can happen. So imagination manifestation. And I've seen people talk about Toon Force, which is where you get like cartoon character abilities. Think of the mask. Like I said, I'm not going to go in depth about what I think Gear 5th is. So stay tuned for a later video coming this week. So there's that. Luffy's continuing to laugh, and Kaido's happy that he's back. We get the Gear 5th reveal, and I think it looks pretty damn good. It looks like Snake Man without Haki, and a mix between that and Gear 2nd. Then Kaido, he says, sorry about that idiot. I didn't want to win like this. Where Luffy said, don't sweat it, let's finish this. And then we cut to the end of the chapter. That's the final bit that we have. And this is the final fight. This is where it's all going down. More likely than not, Luffy's going to turn up, then Kaido's going to turn up, then Luffy's going to have to turn up again. And so I'm very excited to see what happens. Can't wait to see more with Gear 5th. Like I said, the only gripe I have about this chapter that I can't give it a 10 out of 10 is how Luffy came back to life with no explanation. Maybe that happened in the future, I don't know. But overall, it's a pretty solid chapter, and I can't wait for the next one to happen this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video from me. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok is on the screen in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.